What's up, guys? We're Morbid Curiosities, your favorite horror movie podcast, and we're back with another episode. I'm one of your hosts, Nicholas Ewers, and with me is the lightweight champion of the world, the morbid mistress of mayhem herself,
Mercedes Martinez. How are you doing tonight, Nick? How's life on your end of the Antarctic tundra zone?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I was gonna say the Midwest, but you nailed it. I thought you were gonna say the other side of the pond, maybe, as if we were separated. We were recording overseas, like I was in Europe or something.
I'm not that witty to come up with other side of the pond.
That I don't know. You could have done it. I believe in you.
I don't. You have more faith in me than I do on that.
Uh, but yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Gonna be seeing some good movies this weekend. I might be seeing Hamnet sometime coming up. Excited about that. And then for the first time ever, this probably isn't news to that many people, but Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 are getting released in theaters as The Whole Bloody Affair for the first time. It's only really been screened at the Cannes Film Festival and then a couple times in LA. I don't know where else it's been, but I'm going to be seeing that with my girlfriend. It'll be her first time seeing part 2, and I don't know. I think it'll be a pretty fun time. It's going to be almost like 5 hours at the theater, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Can't wait for this week to be over.
Same. I don't have any upcoming movie plans for the weekend. However, I did kind of watch I did watch some of Good Boy since it's streaming now. And
Okay.
the thing was, when I watched it, of course, I fell asleep, but I was interested in the movie. That's what sucks about me. I can be very invested in a movie and my ass will still fall asleep. It's rare if I can actually stay up during a film if I watch it at night. I'm so disappointed at myself, but I still got like maybe I'd say like 20 minutes or so left of the movie, so I'm going to try to watch that this weekend.
I can relate to you about falling asleep in movies. Recently, I saw Wicked for Good, and I fell asleep basically during the entire back half and was like, oh God, what the fuck? Now I have to see this thing again so I
Damn.
can form an opinion on it and finish the fucking thing. And then I went to see it like a day or two later and was so tired. And near the beginning of the movie, I was like, I've seen this before. So I took a planned nap at the like during a chunk in the beginning of the movie and made sure I was somehow able to wake myself up. And then I had enough energy to get through to the end. It was ridiculous. But it's weird. When I hit the winter, when I hit December, I start falling asleep in movie theaters. It happened a couple years ago. I was falling asleep during the Iron Claw and Poor Things, and it's happening now where I'm afraid of falling asleep. I think it's got to do with the weather or something like that.
I really felt like I know I wasn't the only person, but I thought it was rare when like other people fell asleep in films and watching movies in theaters. But I was so upset because once Halloween Ends came out, I was so psyched to see it. I got tickets for the midnight showing. I was so fucking tired that day. And I was like, no, this is Halloween. I need to see this movie. I have to see this movie. I will be good. I even drank an energy drink. I fell asleep after the initial scene and I woke up in the end when Laurie and Michael are fucking battling it out. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Are you serious? Did I literally close my eyes for a second and now it's the end? I was so mad about that. I will never forgive myself for that.
Sometimes it gets hard because these things are long and you're sitting in a dark room. And honestly, sometimes they might not even be that interesting. And you know, take this with a grain of salt, I guess, but I fell asleep during the first It movie. I fell asleep immediately and then woke up during the credits and was like, fuck, I have to see this again, I guess. And then I saw it again and was like, I get why I fell asleep. But The clowns just don't do it for me. But, even like important movies, I fell asleep to a little bit of Black Panther when that came out and felt like I did an injustice to the black community. I was like, well, I have to go see this again because I fell asleep and it's an important movie. It just, it's hard to control it. But on the topic of Good Boy, have I given my thoughts about that movie to you? I know we talked about maybe covering it for the podcast when it came out in theaters, but I had seen it in theaters and I think I was okay with not covering it after I had seen it. But have I shared my thoughts with you at all?
No, you didn't actually.
Maybe I'll wait till the next episode when you finish Good Boy. I can save it for our Rec 4 Apocalypse episode, not to reveal the movie we're talking about today.
All right, sounds good. Cause yeah, I feel like that'll kind of like determine how I feel about the movie. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, but I'm so confused by it. And it's taking so many left turns. So yeah, I need to figure out what the hell happens to this good boy, this good little doggy on there.
Yeah, I don't remember being so twisty and turny, but yeah, I've definitely got some thoughts and feelings on that movie. Yeah, guys, if you haven't gotten to check it out yet, go check out Good Boy. It should be on Shutter right now. I think I remember seeing the Shutter logo before seeing it in theaters, but it's a super indie film about a dog, and yeah, that's all you need to know. Go in and let us know what you think about it.
Yes, and before we jump into the movie of the hour tonight, I do want to give a shout out to two of our listeners, Lance Roberts, of course, and we also got another one. I'm just going to spell out his name on social media, D12 Go. So just they reached out to us and let us like they took a screenshot of Spotify and it said like your top podcast morbid curiosities. So it's awesome to get that support from you guys. So thanks for tuning in every week. Thanks for like always being there for us, even suggesting stuff for us. You guys are real OGs. And yeah, just keep up the support for us and we'll keep showing up for you guys.
Hell yeah, shout out to you guys. You're the real heroes. And it's cool that we're ending up in some people's Spotify wrapped list or whatever the fuck they call it over there at Spotify. I listen to us on Spotify actually, but I mostly use Apple Podcasts. I don't know. So my Spotify wrapped is going to be all morbid curiosities. Shout out to you guys. You guys rule. Pat yourselves on the back right now, except if you're driving. If you're driving, park immediately, stop all traffic, and just pat yourself on the back because, it's cool to have you guys along with the ride. And it's cool that you guys are reaching out and showing that you're listening and that you dig the podcast.
Yeah, thanks guys. Without further ado, would you like to jump into the movie of the hour tonight, Nicholas?
So, yeah, guys, we're going to be talking about Rec 3, Genesis, or Rec Cubed, Genesis. I'm not even sure if there's a colon in there, but this is a franchise that likes to play with the format a little bit, and I can respect that. My favorite format franchise, I think, might be Mission Impossible, but I love the Cubed, and we got a subtitle now. We'll get into what that subtitle means when we get into the movie. Hell yeah, Mercedes. What were your initial thoughts on Rec 3 Genesis?
So, I again haven't been watching trailers. I've just been seeing, the artwork that you send me and then just pinch of a preview whenever I'm about to put the movie on if I'm streaming it. I just saw okay, it's going to take place at a wedding. Shit's probably going to go down really bad and like I said before, I thought I didn't have high expectations for this, but I actually didn't mind this film. There were some things in there that I was like, I could fuck with this. Okay, we're not all making stupid decisions. We are obviously some stupid decisions were made, but no, there were some people that I was surprised I really liked. I ended up really liking the bride in here. And yeah, it had some odd parts, but I can actually say I do like this film.
That's wild that you're so positive on this one. It almost boils my blood that you're more positive on this one than
Damn.
Rec 2. Almost boils my blood. Uh, because I'll say this right off the bat. I think immediately this movie is a massive step down from Rec 2 in a lot of ways. But I had a lot of fun with this thing. This is like solid B movie territory. I was really vibing with it. I'm a sucker for zombie. I think that's what it is. I'm just a sucker for zombie movies. There were some times where some shit was happening. I'm like, holy fuck, that is a huge step down from what we were talking about last week. And then there'd be a zombie standing in the rain, and I'd be like, oh, fuck. Well, that's awesome. I'm back on board. This is so much fun. Um, I think I could like a lot of bad zombie movies. This is competently directed. That helps. I don't really love the look of some of this movie. We'll get more into it in the spoiler section, but I'm going to have some criticisms at this thing. It's not going to be too harsh, even though maybe it should be, because the two directors, Paco Plaza and I think it's Balaguaro, something like that, the directing duo that made Rec 1 and 2, they did incredible work, in my opinion, with those two. And this being a step down, in my opinion, should be grounds for me to really launch some harsh criticisms at this thing. But I didn't walk out of it too mad. I thought, okay, we got two great movies. They're taking it in a Mila Jovovich Resident Evil type of way. I kind of
Right.
appreciated that. Yeah, I'm a defender of most of those movies. They're pretty fun, I'd say, and two of them specifically, I think, are just genuinely really good sci-fi action horror movies. And whenever we cover them, we'll figure out which two those are. I don't know if people would be able to guess, but we'll save it for that season. And I'm going a while, but yeah, Rec 3 Genesis, good, solid B movie zombie territory. It hits some buttons for me. I think I'm an easy mark for the zombie shit. I'm sorry, listeners. Maybe I'm too kind on some of these movies. You can go listen to our Final Destination 4 episode, and our Child's Play 3 episode, and our Sinister 2 episode if you want to hear me hating on some movies. I'm just as surprised as you guys are, though. When this movie takes some turns, I thought I was going to hate it, and I had some fun with it. It's a just fun romp of a zombie movie.
Yeah, so spoilers ahead for Rec 3. It's not gonna make or break your life if you don't watch it before you listen to us,
Yes, it
but
will. Watch this movie first if you haven't seen them. You could pretty much watch them in any goddamn order at this point. I don't know. Maybe
true.
you got to see the first Rec before you see the second one. Aside from that, yeah, it seemed this one takes place. You already said spoilers, before the first Rec movie, I think.
I
I, I,
think it was well, I took it as it was taking place like around the same time, since we have a Theo in there who's talking about how he got bit by a dog. So I'm like,
yeah,
damn, that was probably the same dog from the first one. Wasn't the
yeah.
dog named Max?
And there's news footage in the background at one point from the first Rec movie when some characters are looking at security camera footage. I think it's Coldo, the groom. So all of these movies kind of sit like on top of each other timeline wise, and I can appreciate that. I think it's kind of fun. I think Cloverfield has two really strong entries. I think Rec is 3 for 3 though in this. all of these things are kind of connected in this weird and fun way. They're very different, but when it comes to the found footage movies that are playing with time or universes, 10 Cloverfield Lane isn't even found footage. Sorry, I'm rambling, but I think Rec has a better success ratio.
So we start off, you see a wedding video playing. Someone put it together. I thought that was a interesting way to open it up. Like, how are we watching this wedding video after all of this shit went down?
It's like a DVD menu screen, which to me, I was like, oh man, we're in for a fucking rough start. I was like, who edited this footage that we're about to see? The other ones are just like, it's almost like you just picked up a camera and you started watching what was recorded on the camera. But right away, I thought this was shaky.
Yeah, that's like how I was when I was 10 years old with my first camera ever. And I was just taking pictures of pictures because I didn't know what else to take pictures of. I was a weird kid. But anyway, so you see this couple, they are about to get married. Everyone, or you start to like meet some of the characters. So you meet Caldo or I'm jacking everyone's name up already.
It's
Coldo.
Caldo.
Caldo, yeah. So he's the groom. His bride to be is named Clara. We have teenage looking cameraman named Adrian. They are just setting the basis of where we're at. So everyone's just making their way to the church. You see Caldo is a little nervous, but he starts talking to a few extra people. He talks to his best man, and then you see his Theo come in. That's when they start talking about his hand injury. He had like a bandage on his hand that was a little bloody, and he said, "A dog bit me the other day." And he even tries to show it to the guys. I'm sorry. Why would you do that? Like, a dog bit you. Keep that shit closed. You were either way fucked regardless, but dude, keep that shit closed. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, and the character introductions too. We get this character, I think his name is Atune, but he is like a steady cam operator that's filming the wedding. That's another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Uh, I was just like, okay, you guys are getting a bigger budget. I like the way that the bigger budget came through in Rec 2, but it didn't become showy. It just felt like the filmmakers had more capability, but I don't know, they didn't take it to a point that rubbed me the wrong way, and I didn't really love that we were now getting a professional camera introduced to the movie. But by the time we actually get into the movie and the found footage aspect, I think there's 3 total cameras going. It's, Adrian, like you had mentioned, a tune. There's a little girl named Tita from what I had read online that it's Clara's younger sister. And by the time we're fully into the movie, I can't tell whose camera is what is happening, who's really being talked to. I found the first roughly 20 minutes of this movie before, I mean, spoilers, it changes formats to be a pretty rough watch, honestly. How did you feel about having the 3 cameras and 2 of them being camcorder, 1 being Steadicam? Did that really make a difference, and did you find it confusing like I did?
I found it didn't like necessarily rub me the wrong way, but it was just like, okay, this is how they are building on, like you said, their bigger budget for this film. They are showing that they have someone just recording on a regular handheld camera, and then they have a professional in here. I actually forgot Clara's sister had a camera too. So yeah,
They don't make it that clear, at least to me. I rewatched a little bit of this as I was getting ready to record. I had thrown the movie on, and that's when I fully picked up that Clara's younger sister was actually manning a camera at the beginning. It was almost like blink and you miss it. I thought that was just Adrian doing the camcorder the whole time.
I mean, All of them, all of the like points of view from every cameraman person, even to have like the professional guy in there, like you said, it was kind of hard to tell who was who. So after a while, I wasn't even paying attention to that because I got lost with whoever was filming. And it really surprised me when they even just like cut all found footage aspects, and then it just looked as if we were watching a standard film later on too.
Yeah, I didn't know where they were going with it. I didn't see at what point like two of the characters lost their camcorders because we just dropped those two at some point. And then it's a tune and the groom and a couple other people locked in a kitchen, and the groom is like, "Why are you recording?" And a tune drops everybody's favorite line, put it on a rec shirt. He says, "I'm recording everything." And I was like, okay, you had to get it in there. It was less smooth this time. I didn't like it as much. But
Yeah,
then they
that rubbed me the wrong way.
yeah, it felt pretty forced. It felt like an obligation they were fulfilling to somebody when they said that. But the groom knocks the camera down and breaks it, and then it cuts to black, and then it's Rec 3. I think you see the red flashing dot, and then it's Rec 3 Genesis. I thought that was a cool title drop. I don't remember if the other movies even had a title drop at all in the beginning. We never really talked about it. These aren't movies that present themselves as Hollywood films typically in this kind of way. This is the most movie and least found footage, but when they broke the format, I thought, okay, I'm on board to see where this goes. I think it could be kind of cool, but I am a little bummed that it's becoming a bit more conventional at this point. It's losing the rec personality.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe that's why I ended up kind of liking it a little more. But when you hear the movie Wreck, you are automatically thinking found footage and zombies for the most part. So that was a big twist that, again, wasn't expecting. It kind of works for me at times, but the way they did it, it kind of it wasn't like a smooth transition. They jumped to, the title of the movie, and then they go to, it's just standard film format. And in my head, I was thinking, was this like a non-edited scene that's in here? Are we like behind the scenes right now? It just felt weird. It took a few minutes to adjust to, but yeah, I mean, I ended up liking it anyway, I guess.
Yeah, it is a pretty jarring experience going from the found footage, the camera gets kicked, title sequence, then you are kind of just thrust into it being a conventional horror movie. And that seems intentional. The execution seems intentional. Paco Plaza, he was the one who decided to break the format in order to kind of just do things something a little different with the series. I had alluded to it earlier, I think on the first Rec episode, that this was a directing team and they had split for these two movies. I didn't know if it was bad blood or if it was weird rights things, but it turns out that it was just Jwami. I keep forgetting his name.
Like Huame.
Huame. I like listened to how it was pronounced, and it sounded like it was a hard J, but I apologize to the family of this director. I know he's still alive, but I apologize to the director too and everybody associated with him. I don't mean to get his name wrong, but they split because Jwami was just busy. He was making a movie, I think Sleep Tight. I could be mixing up the director's movies. And so Paco Plaza was just like, okay, I'll do Rec 3. And they kind of split the rights to the movie in half. And it's like, okay, Paco gets 3 and Jwami gets 4. And they get to fully realize their own stories and do whatever they want with the franchise. And I think that's kind of cool. but you can also see a little bit that they really have the juice mostly when they're together. These past two movies were almost 5 out of 5 for me, and this one is at a 3 for me. So I wonder how it would have been if they just waited till their schedules worked out and they could have worked together. But I still appreciate the direction the franchise is in so far.
Yeah, they kind of, none of the films actually waste time with like getting you straight to the action. They had the wedding, they're at the reception, but that same Theo that got bit, he's puking his brains out outside. And this is where I start to get a little confused because the one camera kid, Adrian, he was outside, filming around, and you see everyone in like the biohazard suits at a distance. What were they doing there?
I assumed it was because the uncle had been bit, basically. He had been bit by the dog from the first movie. Maybe they had tracked everybody who had interacted with the dog and are like, okay, we have to shut this down. I mean, it's the government of Spain. They could have been keeping close tabs on this one guy specifically and are just like, okay, this shit is an actual viral outbreak. So now we have to go to where this guy is and lock down location. They really don't give us any details behind the quarantine. The quarantine in Rec 1, especially, but 1 and 2, is as present as a main character would be in the movie. But the quarantine that's happening in this movie is really a non presence until the end, where the characters even realize, oh, what, there's a quarantine being put on us. And they slowly start to discover it doesn't even, the Ministry of Health has, like, we see them, but they don't really have much of a presence. And the movie doesn't take a whole lot of time paying mind to them. I mean, Rec 2, we were in their POV the whole time. The first Rec, their characters that we're fully interacting with at one point, and we're hearing their voices. This, it's just they're like a non entity.
That's kind of a part that I wish was a little more present in here instead of just that one tiny scene and then their scene at the end. I kind of like seeing them. To me, that's kind of like setting the stage a lot better. But I mean, we're in the third film in this franchise, so we already know what's about to go down. But it's like, okay, if you guys are willing to force that line, we need to record everything, you could have shown these guys more. Like,
So you're saying if they can take the time to go back and reference the line, then they can take the time to go back and pay more attention to other parts of the story and other rec lore that we're not getting. It's just like, okay, don't tease me with the line. Like, give me a little bit more of the backstory behind this infection. Is that like what you're saying?
just not even with that. It's just, I don't know. I thought we would see more of like the, why can't I ever,
Ministry of Health.
yeah, them. Like, I don't know why. I like seeing them in these films because it's like, all right, they're about to fuck shit up because clearly they don't give a shit about who is potentially okay and who isn't.
But you hated
Um,
the priest in the last one, though. He was like your least favorite guy.
cuz he was the priest and he was only doing like all the bad decisions here.
I'm under the impression that maybe all of these Ministry of Health guys associated with this case, at least, might be priests or holy people. That's what I'm saying. I wish we got a little bit more of that. This movie
Oh,
does
okay.
take it in a Resident Evil direction, but it's like, give us a little bit more into these hazmat suit people. Like, expand a little bit more on the lore like Rec 2 does, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with that because after, shit hits the fan, everyone is separated. We're not even looking at found footage anymore. the you have Caldo and a few other people. They were able to escape from the kitchen, and they're running in the woods. They've already like had to kill a few of these infected people. They end up by a church, and some of their family was able to let them inside, and then the older woman says, like, they can't come in here and holy water stings them. They didn't really do much with holy water in the other ones. Yeah, they showed the priest saying all these prayers and trying to exorcise the demons in Wreck and Wreck 2, but now they're saying they can't walk on like holy ground. That kind of confused me because in those two films, they were able to go in the penthouse in a way. Well, anyone who got infected, you don't see them actually like run up and enter the penthouse. The people that were already in there was like the barbarian looking demon.
Yeah, they resided in the penthouse to begin
Yeah.
with. The penthouse was where all of this spawned from, basically, aside from whatever occurred at the Vatican or in Italy.
Yeah, so how is it that they were able to be in there and you saw like all the religious like artifacts, everything, all the posters and everything there, but they can't enter a church, you
My
know?
impression is that the penthouse is more evil. Like that's where evil
Okay.
resides, and the religious artifacts are almost to slightly ward it off. It's just precautionary religious stuff that really doesn't have much of an effect. But the church is the church. That was the holy ground beforehand. I almost look at the penthouse as a portal to hell, kind of, in this movie. At least, like, the experiments they've done almost opened a portal to hell, and that ground became super unholy.
That makes a lot of sense actually because they had that whole spin on you can't see anything in the daylight or with the regular light. But if you turn off the light, and they had the night vision in the second one, that's when you were able to see rooms and doors and that big ass tub or well where like that one guy ended up dying. So yeah, I could see that that actually made a lot more sense. But yeah, if they focused on more of the lore in this one, that probably would have amped this one up in like some brownie points.
While we're on the topic of holy people and the priests and religion, the the priests in this seem almost utterly useless. Like there's a priest, I forgot his name, but he's in this thing kind of. He's introduced with Clara. They're hiding out together, and Clara like speaks over the PA, and the PA ends up getting cut off. And then I don't know what the priest ends up doing for most of the movie, but later on near the end, he just hops on the PA and starts reciting a prayer, and all of the zombies become immobilized. It reminded me of episode 1 of Pluribus, actually, and I was delighted in the twitching of everybody standing still. But part of me is thinking, this guy was able to figure that out. Obviously, the priest in the second one didn't have a megaphone or a PA system to be communicating through. Why can this Ministry of Health, who is very capable of putting up a quarantine, why can they not be getting on the PA and just start reciting a prayer? Why don't they do that? Why is this priest able to figure that out? So there's some things in this movie where it comes across as characters are dumb or not thoughtful, but in my head, it just seems like story wise, they weren't really thinking about that. And then in turn, it just comes off like we're stuck with a bunch of dumb characters. And then that's what makes a B movie, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was strange too because I actually thought this guy got killed. I forgot how I thought that, but yeah, there was even a point where he just like in a state of shock or just flat out fear, actually, just because all the infected people are about to like break into the room that they're in. Clara slaps the shit out of him, and yeah, you would think at that point too, maybe say a prayer. In every other scene, you have a priest saying a prayer when they come in contact with these demons, but this guy decides to do it at the very, very end. I thought that was a little strange.
Yeah, it's uh, kind of odd. And one thing I did forget too, I mentioned that they completely drop the found footage format, and then I don't know what happened to the other characters' cameras. Actually, right after they drop the format, they go right back into it because the characters that you mentioned escaping the kitchen, they have to use night vision to get out of an air vent. And then I don't know what happens to the camera. Does it like fall and break? Probably. But they reintroduce it for a second, then hop right back into the found footage format. Or not the found footage format. They hop right back into it being just a regular horror movie, regular cameras. But there's a point where we're with a crew and you think, okay, this is going to be the crew that we're stuck with. There's multiple points in the movie actually where we end up with crews of people and you think, okay, this is going to be our team. And then, for example, this crew, there's a guy who beats an infected to death with like a tire iron or something. And then moments later, he gets bit when he's in a car fucking around. And I started to think, okay, the deaths in this movie don't feel as weighty as they did in the previous two movies. They almost feel inconsequential. Sometimes they're played for just a bit. There's a moment that I actually thought was pretty funny where two of the characters, Caldo and just some other guy that's a part of the group, are in night outfits, which I want to touch on the night outfits in a second. But one of the dudes gets dragged away and just gets munched on behind some curtains. I thought that was funny, but the deaths have very little weight in them in this entry.
Even in the initial scene where the uncle, he falls off the balcony and he bites like the neck of his wife, that was like, okay, well, I didn't feel like any type of like remorse or whatever. It's like, all right, well, I was expecting that to happen because she was literally right there. And then when in that scene where, they're outside, the guy, he's using like the star wrench to beat the shit out of the one infected zombie or whatever. I was laughing because I was like, that was 13 times. I love it because he didn't hesitate on trying to hit the zombie. And he even like did more than a double tap just to make sure this fucker was actually dead. Why would you just go in a car and be in such like a close space to a dead body after you just saw this other shit go on? I wouldn't want to be by any corpse or any dead person or anything in general in that situation. So once he just leans over and starts eating him, that was like, I don't know, to me that was kind of lazy. And yeah, the part where the guy is just dragged away in the night suit and then you could just hear his body getting like chewed on. I was like, all right, that just made like that scene even more comedic.
Yeah, he just stands there and is like, "Oh my god, I guess I'll get out of here." The guy in the police car, I don't know. I felt like they could have done a little bit more. The past two movies really utilizes people playing dead or these zombie demon people playing dead. We're just playing fast and loose with calling them zombies or demons across these episodes, but that's totally cool. Yeah, I don't know. There are a couple other deaths too that we'll get into throughout this thing, but one thing I wanted to touch on briefly is the knight's armor. I've had that very idea, not as lazy as these guys did it, But I've thought, okay, if you find a full night suit, like head to toe, one of those heavy ass ones that covers your entire body where you can't even see the face unless you flip up a little metal thing. If you walk into a horde of zombies like that, like, yeah, maybe they could knock you over, but I think you could be pretty safe. And then you could do the Walking Dead thing. I think Shaun of the Dead maybe does it too, where you just like dump a bunch of zombie guts on you and they think you're one of them. You just do that on a knight's outfit, and yeah, it'll smell horrific. But I think you can get around, you can commute that kind of fashion.
Why am I not surprised that that thought came to your mind? I could so see you doing something like that.
I've been sitting on it for years. It's something that I brought up multiple times. I think I first had the thought when I was a kid after watching 28 Days Later. It's it's kind of funny, but almost anytime I watch these things, I just think, yeah, you could wear a night suit and I think you'd be impenetrable with a sturdy enough suit. One of those real classic ones. Just go to a museum and steal one or something during a zombie outbreak.
I would be very fucked in that situation because those things are huge and I'm tiny. That thing would swallow me. I would not fit in that at all.
Caldo at a different point in the movie ends up grabbing a sword, and I think it was what they used to cut the cake. I can't believe they used a real sword to cut the cake. That seems irresponsible. I think you would use some kind of prop sword that's maybe as sharp as a butter knife, but not an actual sword that you can fillet zombies with or chop off limbs with.
I liked that. I respected that. I was like, okay, cool. They're really going at it with their love for each other with that sword there. So, I mean, it came in handy in the end.
It did. And to bring us like a little bit back to the plot, I really like that these two are separated. And I mean, the point of the movie is pretty simple. It's the bride and the groom trying to reunite, get back to each other as they're separated by all of this chaos. I would have appreciated if this movie tried to achieve more, but it's a straightforward enough story and it works for a zombie viral outbreak type of thing. There's a point where Clara and Rafa end up in this like underground tunnel system, which I guess the writer and directors like loved, and so they decided to go in and do rewrites at the end so they can incorporate this location a bit more. And we get some good zombie action. Clara picks up a chainsaw and ends up killing some infected down there to some pretty awesome music. There's a certain point where the two kind of cross paths. I don't know if Rafa is dies at some point down there or what the deal was with him. I can't remember, but these two see each other through a grate in the ground, and I really like this moment where it's like, okay, they're so close to each other, but they're separated, and zombies are coming for them, and shit's getting intense. And this is where I think we're in the back half, like the last like 30, 40 minutes. This shit really was working for me all the way through to the end. I think the whole back half of this movie has a lot of juice.
And that's what I found crazy because I was watching it thinking, I'm surprised this movie isn't pissing me off right now with just some of the details. Like, me personally, I just don't like it when female characters they're wearing a dress and they make like such a drastic change to it, and it's just for like, the eye candy, where the dress is significantly shorter. And I was laughing because I saw, Clara uses the chainsaw to like cut just like a piece of her dress off. Just it was just exposing her leg where her garter was. And it was funny because Rafa was just like, wow. It's like, dude, shut up. But I thought that was a little funny. And then when she even was I think it was the part where her and the priest were trying to climb down from the room that they were in out of the window. you see she jumps down and she has like her thick ass heels on still. And I was like, oh shit, she's been, kind of fast pacing this whole film with those fucking heels on. Okay. And then when they were down in that little tunnel, she just like came out with that chainsaw and was basically telling this dude, like, you know what, fuck you. If you want to leave after you told me, like, this guy can show me a sign that he's still alive, he just did. I'm gonna go get him. If you want to leave, kick rocks, whatever. But then she even decides she's gonna fight these zombies that are coming to them. Um, it's like, dude, you don't know how many of these fuckers are gonna be coming at you, but you were determined to fucking fight them off. I was vibing with this girl. I don't know why. Maybe it was the eyeliner. Like, I loved her eyeliner. It gave her like that little goth type of Tim Burton look because of how slender she was, and she had kind of like a corpse bride looking wedding dress on. So maybe that was why I liked her a lot.
You're right. I mean, Clara is badass. I think she's an awesome final girl. I do dig her more than Angela, especially Angela in Rec 2, yeah,
Oh,
as we
definitely.
had talked about. Yeah. Clara is awesome. When she was going down, or like making her escape earlier in the movie in the heels, as you had mentioned, I was getting real Rebecca Ferguson in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation vibes. And if she took off her heels, I would have thought it was more badass because there's a point in that movie where she's making an escape out of this like concert hall castle type of thing with Tom Cruise's character, and she sits on a ledge, and like presents her feet and makes him take off her heels so she could run, and it's a real like badass move, and I was getting fucking Ilsa vibes from Clara a little bit. I like how badass she was, but I was able to forgive the heels because later when she's climbing up that grate and trying to get out and Caldo is unscrewing it, trying to let her through, she takes her heel and stabs it through one of the infected's eyes, and it's
Hmm.
a really cool shot, an awesome scene. It's just badass. This character is awesome. Even like you had mentioned, the makeup she wears is super cool. When she picks up a chainsaw, I thought, okay, this movie's leaning full into Evil Dead mode. She's become Ash right now, and I love her even more for that. Even my girlfriend was on board for her. She caught the end of this movie when I watched it a couple days ago and was saying that this chick was pretty badass. And I was thinking, okay, Paco, you really nailed it here with Clara. Paco and Clara is also, I forgot the actress's name, but it's his wife who plays Clara, and they don't mention it in the making ofs. I saw it in I was watching a little bit of that Kill Count guy's YouTube video that he has for this movie, and
Same.
he dropped that info, and he talked about how she was really involved with the creation of the character and the dress being altered. That was her choice and her decision, the way it was altered. That was very cool to learn, and I appreciate her. We'll get to her fate in a second, but it kind of sucks that she's not going to be making an Angela style return. It at least doesn't seem like she'll be coming back for Rec 4 Apocalypse.
Yeah, and to go back to the part where, she was able to, be at that, like, the little vent thing where Caldo's trying to unscrew it for her. That part was sad. And I even thought that was going to, like, bother me. Okay, now we have to have a love story in here. Okay, that's just kind of getting too mushy for a rec film.
Well,
But
it's a wedding. What did you expect?
well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't have high hopes for it,
You're like, why couldn't it
because
be Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson from Wedding Crashers
I love that
starring in
movie.
this thing? Where's Bradley
um
Cooper?
I know oh my god, the last time I watched that, I forgot he was in there, and when I saw him, I'm like, wow. he looks like a fucking tater tot in here.
Me too. I always forget that he's in that movie. It's just a thing with that. I don't know if any other people have that, but I'm right there with you.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought their love story was gonna like bother me, but it didn't because you could see they're holding on to the fact that the other one is still alive. They can sense it, which I absolutely love that detail. And then they end up making it to the end, and I feel like maybe I like them more because they are not making dumbass decisions or asking dumb questions. And again, like I loved everything that Clara did. And even the part where she stabs the one zombie in the eyeball, like all the way, that fucking was like ew, but amazing at the same time. Um, and yeah, they end up like getting together. The one part that did bother me was obviously they share an embrace, they share a passionate kiss, and I'm like, what the fuck? Both of you guys have blood on your mouths and you're kissing. How are you two not going to get infected at that point? That was the one detail that bothered me.
Maybe it was their own blood or blood from somebody who wasn't infected yet.
I guess, whatever. But yeah, I love Clara's act now, think later type of mentality because so the two they end up reuniting and they are basically like, well, we're about to die because, the zombies are coming every which way. But then that was when the priest got on the PA system and started, saying a prayer. And what does it do to the zombies? Does it like stun them? Because, yeah, they're like standing there twitching. And you related it to another movie or show. What was it?
Oh, I related it to Pluribus, but that's something a little bit different. Guys, check out Pluribus if you haven't. I don't really want to spoil what's happening there, but I think it's just immobilizing them. Like, whatever it does, it renders them just useless. They can't do anything, they can't move. They're just stuck in a paralyzed state where they're, well, not paralyzed because they're shaking, but they are just still shaking.
Right. So, yeah, they were able to make their escape and, they enter the ballroom. They see their family members that are all zombies. And you're like, okay, they're actually going to make it out. They keep walking, they keep walking. But then, you know, you do feel bad for Clara in like one part of the film, you do see her, kind of standing there because she sees her mother who's already infected. And that part, obviously, painful to see. This, on the other hand, was funny because they kind of hinted, well, they did hint at it in the beginning. Their grandfather had a hearing aid that it wasn't working or whatever, but he's infected and he comes up and fucking bites Clara, and Caldo says, like, damn you and your hearing aid or something. And I guess that was the reason why they had mentioned it. So he couldn't, like, hear the prayer going on.
Yeah, it was like letting back a bunch of feedback, basically, preventing him from being able to hear. It felt like A Quiet Place fucking ripped this shit off, basically. I was like, wait, hearing aids in horror? Rec did that before Quiet Place. A Quiet Place fucking stole this shit. I'm saying it here first, folks. Those Quiet Place people, they're frauds. But
Are you not a John Krasinski fan?
I am not crazy about the Quiet Place movies in general. I think they're kind of softball a little bit when it comes to horror. And you can listen to These Guys Got Juice. We covered Quiet Place Day 1, and that's the one I actually like the most out of all of them. But we get into our feelings on A Quiet Place. You can really hear us go pretty deep into that. But I really feel like A Quiet Place is something where if you take more than 5 minutes to think about it, there's massive holes in the monsters, the way they function, the way the world works, and while they are entertaining popcorn, I just feel like they're very flawed movies, and I can't not see the flaws and not really see how they couldn't have just like created a better creature and had more thoughtful ideas. But yeah, that's my little Quiet Place tangent. I like Quiet Place Part 2 and how like bleak and dour and hopeless that is. And I love Emily Blunt and the addition of Cillian Murphy and God, I forgot that actor's name, but there's an actor in there who I really love who's also in Day 1 who fucking meets his fate in A Quiet Place Part 2 way too early. They throw that character away and it pissed me off. Jaimin Hunsu, that's his name. But yeah, I don't fully love the Quiet Place movie. Why am I talking about these things again? How did we get here? Oh, the hearing aids.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I really like Clara and Caldo when they're walking out as the prayer's going, how everything kind of tones down and gets peaceful for a little bit. There's two outdoor moments involving Claire that I really enjoy. It's that one where they're just walking and you see the paralyzed zombies and you're just hearing the prayer. It feels like there's a bit of relief. And then there's one where Clara has to kill her mom or her grandma. They have a altercation in the rain. I thought that was gorgeous looking, but I like these like moments where the movie takes time to really be slow and we really get a different side to these zombies, and this world has a little bit more atmosphere, or at least these scenes have a little bit more atmosphere. But yes, back to the hearing aid. Sorry for digressing.
No, it's good. But yeah, you have that part where she gets bitten and you're just like, fuck, come on. They were almost out. But she just up and is like, all right, you got to do it. And I'm thinking, wait, what the fuck are they planning? And she
They
wanted
gotta do
him.
it. They gotta
Yeah.
do it.
She was just like slapping her arm on this like table thing and was like, all right, just cut my arm off. And I was like, damn, there was no hesitation there with her.
You
Okay.
can't hesitate. You see that shit traveling through
Mm-hmm.
her veins
That was
so fast.
gross. Oh
My
my God.
my girlfriend was like, "Would you hesitate to do that for me?" I was like, "No, I would do it immediately, but I would apologize and say sorry if I don't get it in one swing." And I would be so worried that the sword would break on the stone after the first swing and I wouldn't have actually gone all the way through. Oh man, I was thinking about all the ways I would fuck this up, how I would botch
That
this
is
whole
great.
operation.
Oh my God. You see, that's realistic. My dumbass is over here thinking like how Ray and Bobby were in Scary Movie when they're like, all right, come on, and Bobby keeps stopping him like, wait, before he stabs him. But yeah, I was very, very like proud of this woman for just like not hesitating at all. But I was like, fuck, her man is gonna like wait 1 second too long because obviously he doesn't want to do it. But it's like, dude, you got no choice. And in my eyes too, I'm thinking it's not really gonna make a difference because I feel like that shit already spread like in 2 seconds. And he does it and you're just like, oh shit, it actually worked. Okay. But like, how the fuck is he gonna explain that once they leave? They're gonna be like, why is she missing an arm? Like, she's still infected. And then you just start to feel even worse because she starts puking up blood. And then they were by like where the saran wrap type of deal was barricading them inside.
Yes, saran wrap. I'm sure
Saran wrap.
that's exactly what they used to quarantine.
We
Good
all
old
know
saran wrap.
that shit is strong at times, but we all know I don't know the technical terms for anything,
I
but
fucking hate saran wrap. That's a tangent for another episode. But
I feel
we
that.
just like a plastic seal. It's some type of seal that they put over it.
Yeah. So they're by like this gate and there's like a gate in between her and Caldo, and they're just looking at each other, and I'm like, damn, they got something in between them again, separating them. He just crosses over, and he that just shows he's like willing to die with her and for her and whatever. But like, you see her eyes are red now, they've changed, so she's clearly infected. And he picks her up and walks her through the tunnel out of their little, quarantine zone, even though they're being told not to. But what was the point of him leaving that area? Like,
I
that, I don't get it.
I kind of have a little bit of issue. I'm like, okay, what the fuck is happening here? Before we get in, I want to say, so Claire's like getting pale and more pale
Mhm.
as right before they leave this quarantine, and I just loved how gross and sickly she looked. Not that I'm into it or anything, but I don't know if it was makeup or CG, but it looked really good. This chick's infected. It's like, oh damn, you cut off her arm for no reason. Maybe it
Right.
slowed it down, but god damn. But yeah, when he picks her up and they walk right out of that thing, and you hear the voice from the agents going, don't walk out, stay in there. I'm like, what? This is happening the same day as the fucking shit going down at the apartment. You guys are really keeping them locked in that thing. You're shooting people. They were sniping that fireman out into the hallway, really trying to make sure they stayed in there. And these guys let them walk out the fucking quarantine door saying, w- uh, stay in there, don't come out, please. It's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then they do a temperature check or something. It was hard to tell. They like scan them real quick. It's like, beep beep. Typical movie scanners where it's like, beep, they're sick, kill them immediately. It's like, well, what does that test do? It looked like you got their temperature. Yeah, they let them get all the way out there and are like, she's sick and you're fine. And they're gonna let him go. It's so ridiculous. It doesn't abide by any of the rules the other two movies have set up for this. But the guy's like, all right, we're going out together, baby. And he pulls her closer and gives her a big ol' smoochy poo. And then she fucking rips his tongue right out of his mouth in such an aggressive, disgusting way. It's horrific in all the best ways. I loved it. My girlfriend asked me if I would rather have my arm chopped off or my tongue ripped out, and I was like, the arm being chopped off was swift and done, and yeah, it would be painful, but the tongue being ripped out, that thing extends, it's stretching, and it's
Mm.
being there's like Spiral in the Book of Saw has some tongue stuff that I'm thinking about right now. Tongue stuff is just so gross. Oh, and it got ripped out. I don't think I could do the tongue thing. Ugh. But yeah, she's full on zombie mode. And she's like, "Rah!" And then they light him up. And their two bodies are on the ground. Their hands are reaching for each other. And my girlfriend was like, she's infected. How the fuck are they reaching for each other? She just ripped his tongue out 2 seconds ago. Then we hear the Ministry of Health people get on and they're like, prepare to infiltrate. 3, 2, 1, we're in. And they say quick and easy. That's the end of the movie. Fucking, I don't know if that quick and easy was a callback to the other movies, if they said that before it seemed significant, but I mean, what are your thoughts on all of that? The tongue being ripped out, the hand holding, the what did you think about that?
So the tongue being ripped out, I hate that. Yeah, I would agree. The arm being chopped off would be the better alternative. Any tongue shit I can't deal with because of Freddy Krueger just seeing like all his little bits when he's like sticking out his tongue and shit, it freaks me out. And even that part where Nancy's talking to him and he has like his tongue through the phone, that was disgusting. So that's what I think of, unfortunately. To go back to your point on like Clara's makeup, this is where I was like really appreciating it because, yes, she was like so much more pale and is infected. Eyes are fucking bloodshot red. Blood is like pouring from her mouth since she like yacked it up. But like when she screams at everyone, that alone was like a horrific sight to see because she was just able to pull off that look so well. Like you said, like, damn, this girl's dead. This girl's infected. And, they're fucked. And the guy, I get why he did it, but like him kissing her, he sealed his own fate. That was like a sure way for her to fucking rip out his tongue. And yeah, for them to hold each other's hands at the last second bothered me. Obviously, he can do it, but like, how is her brain still able to function to do that with him? It's like, what? Did you just remember that this guy was your husband and you're able to, have that one piece of, reflection on your life right now before you're about to die? Yeah, didn't that part didn't work for me, but everything else did.
Yeah, overall, I think the ending worked for me. There's a couple holes it could poke in there. It's doesn't hold a candle to what the first and second movie, especially the second movie, in my opinion, are doing. But I really enjoy the back half of this movie a lot. And I know, like, as we're starting to wrap this thing up, we usually do our final thoughts. Before we get there, I want to say there's an MVP in this movie who hasn't graced this podcast discussion yet. And I feel bad about it. And I wanted to shout out the character who maybe this whole movie should have been about, or who should have made it to the end, who should have had more of an impact, is Sponge John.
Oh my god. I forgot about him and his ass was in my notes. I made sure to write him down.
He's all over my notes. I took a note every time he showed up in this movie and glanced over it. I mostly remembered because I have an angry emoji next to next to when he dies. And yeah, I Sponge John is the real hero. You know, he can't use SpongeBob because of copyrights. I think that's a great bit. It comes up a couple times. It's awesome. This character works. There's a point where they have a fire held up to him, and he's like, keep the fire away. This seat's very flammable. I was wondering if he was going to get lit on fire accidentally at some point in the movie. That would have been funny
Great.
and horrific. He dies a pretty meaningless death. I was kind of bummed in that. When he gets reintroduced, I was hoping that he would stick around. Like, you know, the French girl that Rafa bangs, she ends up talking to Clara at one point and is like, I wasn't going to come. And she's like, I'm surprised you invited me. And Clara was like, I did it to be nice. And they have a weird moment. And she's like, I'm sorry for inviting you. Then she dies immediately. These characters who you think are going to have significance die. But the biggest criminal act this movie commits is not giving Sponge John more attention and more of a pivotal role within this story. Sponge John is a hero. He is an American hero. He has my heart and the heart of many in this world. And I think we should maybe elect him president someday. Who knows? Maybe we'll get there as a country. We'll see. But maybe we're not ready. I don't know. But hashtag Sponge John 2028.
That that character alone could have been SpongeBob's dad. That was how SpongeBob's dad looked in
Mm-hmm.
the show.
Good point.
So, um yeah, that part was hilarious. I Before he even said his name or they said his name, I was like, why is he dressed like a generic SpongeBob? Like, what the hell? I love the bit where he was like, no, it's, Sponge John and all the copyright shit. That made me laugh so much. And then I did think it was weird towards the end, or when he made another appearance in the movie where he was saying he didn't have clothes on underneath the costume. Like, that's kind of gross. He probably had like boxers on, but like, dude, come on. At least have a tank top on. What's wrong with you? Why would you be in the presence of children like that? Like, one of these children could have been little badasses and probably set your suit on fire, and then everyone would have saw that you were naked. Not the fact that you were burnt to a crisp, but that you were naked. Damn, you let us down.
Yeah, shout out to Sponge John. I second that. But hell yeah, he rules. Wish he got lit on fire. Any final thoughts on Rec 3 Genesis? What do you got? What do you got for us?
It has its faults, but I enjoyed the film. No fucking idea why. Maybe it was just because of the character Clara on her own. I liked it. I didn't like the armor type of deal, even though you did make a good point on that. And yeah, some little mishaps here and there, but just her alone was able to, hold this movie up to where, yeah, I didn't really like the second one, but I can like this one more. I wish they had it a little more, or had a little more storyline to it when it came to the zombies, but we'll see what happens in the next one. Like, I just always have to end it with that. But yeah, I like this film. Justice for Clara.
We shall see how the next one goes. I've seen a poster for Rec 4. If you guys don't want to know anything about that, skip 15, 30 seconds ahead, maybe a full minute. But I think Angela's on that poster, and Clara's not. I think Clara's gone, but I'm interested to see what happens. I don't have high hopes for this one going in. I'm gonna be honest, but maybe my expectations will be subverted. Maybe I'll have a lot of fun with it. I'm kind of hoping they go back to the found footage thing, but we'll see. I really have no idea what Rec 4 is going to be like. I think this one is good as a B movie. I understand a lot of people probably don't like it. I rated it 3 stars on Letterboxd. I think that's fair within this franchise. This is solid B movie territory. Again, I could see myself rewatching this. I was looking at the Rec Blu-ray box set earlier today, debating on pulling the trigger. It's on sale for like $40, so maybe. And if I do that, I think every now and then I'll be throwing on Rec 3. If I like Rec 4, maybe I'll be doing Rec marathons. We'll see. But that's all I got about Rec 3 Genesis. I'm excited to be back here and close the book on Rec, or hit eject on the VHS player.
I like that line. But yeah, I would say go for buying the Blu-ray set, just because I mean, you like 1 and 2 and you can at least have fun with part 3. So, 3 out of 4 isn't too bad for these films, so you should get it.
Yeah, and part 2 is damn near a masterpiece. The more I think about it, the more I like it. I really enjoyed listening back to our episode on it. I thought it's a pretty solid listen. I'm assuming if you're hearing this, you probably have heard our Rec 2 episode. If for some reason you listen to this first, go check out that one. I think that's a top tier Morbid Curiosities episode. Guys, if you're newer to the podcast, if this is your first season, go check out our back catalog. Give some of those episodes some love. We got the Terrifiers, we got the Chucky out there, and make sure you rate and review us 5 stars. Go follow us on Instagram at morbid_curiosities_pod, and write into us at gmail.com at morbidcuriosities10 if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. We'd like to hear from you. We got another 5-star review today on Apple Podcasts. That's pretty sweet. I'll try to shout them out on a later episode. And Mercedes, you got any closing statements, any closing thoughts for the people?
Just stay tuned for what we got in store for you guys, and just stay spooky out there.
We've been Morbid Curiosities.
Let's go.